welcome to AKS Daily News Analysis of the Hindu newspaper dated 18th January 2020 of Hyderabad edition. The first article is taken from the page number 1, in which they are saying that the citizens can skip the questions about the place of birth of parents in the NPR form, which is mostly debated one, right? They have also said that they do not need any kind of documents to be shown by the people during the NPR or the census exercise, right? This was in context to the recently held one-day conference which was held between the Ministry of Home Affairs and the RGI, that is Registrar General of India. In this conference, they have tried to show about different kind of presentation about how exactly this NPR form is going to be and how they are going to, the methods that they are going to adopt for the house listing phase of census 2021. So here in this conference, the Registrar General of India and the Ministry of Home Affairs has assured the people that they could skip the questions in the NPR form if they wanted, and answering them was not a mandatory but just a voluntary thing. Remember that this was a main context in which we are seeing so much of uproar among the people about the NPR form and how it is being linked to the NCR. So here they have clarified that whatever the list they are going to ask in the NPR, now it is voluntary about the people whether you want to disclose particular information. Let it be if they are asking about the place of birth of your parents or anything else. If you do not wish to give the details, then it's up to you, and it is not at all any mandatory thing, right? In this context, first let us see about who is the Registrar General of India, right? Registrar General of India, he comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and he is responsible for arranging, conducting and analyzing the results of the demographic survey of India, which includes both things. One is the census of India and other being the linguistic survey of India, right? So what do you mean by this NPR? Earlier also we have spoken a great deal about the NPR, right? So NPR is nothing but any person who is staying in a place for 6 months, and also he has an intention to stay in that particular place for another 6 months, will be included in the NPR, that is National Population Register, right? Example, if somebody is going for a coaching to Rajendra Nagar of Delhi, if he has completed his half year of coaching, which actually includes 6 months, right? So because he intends to complete the another 6 months of the coaching also, so he will be included in the NPR of Delhi, that is in the Rajendra Nagar, right? Because that person is staying in the Delhi for 6 months and he also has an intention to stay over there for another 6 months, so he will be included in the Delhi NPR region, right? Now coming to the 2021 census, it is a very promising one with many new digital things, new things that they are going to bring about, right? So this is the 16th Indian census that we are going to conduct. The first census was conducted in the year of 1870, whereas the first decennial census, that is for every 10 years, we have been doing it continually from the year 1881, right? Coming to the last census, that is 15th census, which was conducted in the year 2011, they tried to include the caste also into it, but yet in the 2021 they will not be continuing the caste census anymore, because the recording were going on depending on the respondents' declaration. So it led to creation of more than hundreds of thousands of castes and subcaste category. So that's why they will not be considering any of the socio-economic and caste status anymore, but instead government will be considering the only OBCs which are notified by the state will be taken into consideration, right? So the first of its kind is that 16th Indian census is going to be called as the first digital census, as the data collected is going to be stored electronically. So an individual household data is not published by the RGI anymore. They are published in the form of tables on the census website, right? The data is preserved for 10 years and then it will be destroyed. So from 2021 census, it will be stored forever in the electronic format. So the next important thing in the present census is about the third gender inclusion, right? So earlier the option of other under the gender category was included, which roughly includes 5 lakh people. So now they are going to name it as third gender. They will avoid the word others in this present census, right? So another important thing, as told, in order to give a fillip to the Digital India consents, the data will be collected on the web-based application, which will be developed under the Registrar General. So in this context, if we see that this NPR and the census, which is going on in hand, so the public can choose what to answer and what not to answer, because this is going to be just a voluntary form, right? So many of the states have shown their resentment, asking the ministry that they should not include the question called as birth of parents in the NPR form anymore, right? So this is again the context of this present news, but we know that already Kerala has passed a resolution regarding the CAA, how they want to repeal the CAA, but it is just a gesture in nature. We know that according to article in the constitution, whatever the laws passed by the parliament needs to be implemented by the states, and for that purpose, if any state is not actually listening to the center's decision, then it will send a notice to them, right? Even then, if the state is not forwarding to the center, then they can bring about a precedence rule, right? So Kerala government, what it has done by passing a resolution is just symbolic in nature. So the same thing has been followed by the Punjab Assembly also. Even it has passed a resolution which is asking the center to repeal the Citizenship Amendment Act, right? So they feel that it is very inherently discriminatory for the people. Here in CAA, we know that it is allowing the citizens of Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Afghanistan, the 3 countries who belong to the 6 religions, will be given a citizenship by the stay of their 5 years, right? So this has brought about a lot of wrath in the country. We know how much they are doing a protest and all, and how it has been turned into the university all this way, right? So here remember, NPR is again being voluntary in nature, and this census will be collected according to the Census Act of 1948. The next article here is talking about the ISRO's this New Year's latest communication satellite, which was launched, named as GSAT 30, in order to give boost to the India's communication satellites. Coming to the description of the satellite GSAT 30, it was launched by a launch vehicle called as Arena 5VA 25. The reason you can ask me here why they have used such type of launch vehicle, when already India has GSLV as well as PSLV. GSLV, you know, because it has to be replaced in the geostationary orbit, so obviously they have to use the GSLV. But the current technology that the India has, that is GSLV Mark II, can only take up to 2000 kgs. But we also have an advanced technology called as GSLV Mark III, which can actually lift up a load of 4000 kgs. But yet we have used the launch vehicle of Arena 5VA 25. It's because the available present GSLV Mark III vehicles that we have in our with our ISRO is actually saved for our Gaganyaan mission, which is due to take place in this year end, because this year end we are going to do a trial before sending our astronauts to the space. Before that, they are going to send 2 trial kind of Gaganyaans that they are going to send to the space. So for that purpose, they have reserved the GSLV Mark III for a better usage, and that's why they have tried to take the launch vehicle of French Guiana called as Arena 5VA 25. Right, so it was launched from the Karur launch base because the present GSAT 30 weighs around 33,057 kgs. They have used this kind of weight because of weight and all. They have chosen the French Guiana in order to launch this particular communication satellite, right? So the main purpose of GSLV 30 is that it is going to give the communication service to Indian mainland as well as the islands through the Q band, whereas the C band will be used for covering the Asian and the Australian countries. The facilities that it is going to provide is the DTS television services, connectivity to VSATs for ATM, stock exchange, television uplinking, as well as teleport services and e-governance. These are the facilities that it is going to provide us. So only launching is the business of the French Guiana, right, Koror. Whereas this, once it got launched into the space, now ISRO's master control facility, which is situated in Hassan of Karnataka, has taken over the chance in order to put it into the geostationary orbit, right? So this is about the GSAT 30. An important thing to remember is that it is going to replace the INSAT 4A, which was in operation since 2005. Now it will replace this with the GSAT 30. This article here is talking about the merging of two important TV channels called as RSTV and LSTV. This may not be really important for the other common people, but you know that most of the people who are into the preparation of UPSC are again and again told that we have to listen to the RSTV, that is Rajya Sabha TV, and sometimes even to the Lok Sabha TV headlines. So actually they are easing our burden of the preparation of the students, you can think like that. So for that, in order to merge these two TVs, they have constituted a 6-member committee which is due to give its report in this month. So in this way, the report will be submitted to the both chairman of Rajya Sabha as well as the speaker of Lok Sabha, right? So whatever the decision these two people take, the heads of the each house, their decision is going to be final in context to the merging of two TVs, right? So the main important reason why they are trying to merge these two TVs is to provide a pooling of resources, manpower, as well as technology. We know that in an year of 365, hardly only 100 days does the parliament is in session. So after that, usually these TVs do not work in purpose for the parliament, as the name mentions, like Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha TV, but they will show the news just like any other TV channels. So their purpose to have two TVs just to show the broadcasting of the proceedings of 100 days is becoming kind of tiresome, and it will be actually wasting the resources, manpower, as well as the technology. So they want to pool all these resources, manpower, and the technology. They are trying to build such type of merging case, right? So the decision that both the speaker of the Lok Sabha and the chairman of the Rajya Sabha is final. So but they have only two options left here, right? Either to have a single channel by merging these two, so that during the parliament session still they can have a two broad variant broadcasters, one who will who will be showing the proceedings of Lok Sabha, and the other which will show the proceedings of the Rajya Sabha. Rest still it will be a one channel, so that all the other 265 days as well as during the session also, only separate time will be given to the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha proceedings, right? Or they can take that as an option, or they can even go with the same thing, that they can have two TV channels, RSTV and LSTV, but yet it should be gone into a integrated manner so as to get the pooling of resources, manpower, and technology, right? So this Lok Sabha TV, which was launched in 2006, right, and after that only they have launched this Rajya Sabha TV. Now we have to see what is the decision that the chairman of Rajya Sabha and the speaker of Lok Sabha are going to take in the coming proceedings. The next article here is talking about the 2020, which will be an important year for the Indo-US relations, right? So how far it is going to be really a good year or not, that will depend actually depending on the Senate, which is due to take the impeachment of the Donald Trump, president of US. If he gets impeached, so the present article here is talking about the visit of US president to India. If he gets impeached, maybe he will not come to India, but yet there are little less chances of him getting impeached, right, because of the majority of the Republicans in the Senate. So we got to wait and see what happens with that. If even so, leaving that apart, leaving that news, maybe here they are saying that the Donald Trump is going to visit visit India. They have proposed for such official visit, so they have a clarity that Donald Trump will not be impeached anymore, right? Coming to the main aim of having a official visit is that they are going to talk about the 2+2 agreement that we have recently concluded. Actually, this 2+2 agreement was started in the year of 2018, and in the December of 2019 we have held the second dialogue on the 2+2 meeting, right? The word here 2+2 means that it is a relationship between the defense and the Ministry of External Affairs of both the countries, so only they have given the name called as 2+2. It shows the partnership of the strategic defense as well as the security partnership between these two countries. So outcomes of this 2+2 will be talked about when the Donald Trump is going to come here, right? So the one of the major outcomes that we have seen in this 2+2 talks is about the two sides have concluded the industrial security annexed, right, as well as the defense technology and trade initiative programs, and the two sides are also agreed to enhance their engagement in the area of defense innovations, right? So this time their agenda is to talk about whatever the 2+2 meeting has been done. They're going to take forward whatever the talks they have done, right? Now they're moving towards another note called as Blue Dot Network. What do you mean by this Blue Dot Network? It is in line with the spirit of enhancing the cooperation in infrastructure, right? So this is actually launched by the US so as to improve the private investments in the infra projects. Already Japan and Australia have joined it, but this is nothing but in order to counter the border and road initiative of China, that the US is, we know that how much irked it is by the Chinese presence. That's why how US is pressurizing India about the Indo-Pacific also, like it want India to take a leadership quality in the Indo-Pacific region so as to counter the Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean, right? So the US is always trying to emphasize India about the important role it can play in the ocean. In the same way, in order to counter the border and road initiative of China, they have come up with a concept called as Blue Dot Network. This is unlike the China one where they usually give the invest money in the infrastructure projects. Here they will not give the money and all in this infrastructure projects, but just it will act as a rating mechanism. They're going to grade the infrastructure projects in all those Indo-Pacific region, so that it will bring about a transparency and it will be the onus upon the investor whether to invest in that particular infrastructure or not. But important thing another to see here is that it involves the citizens participation, right, so as to ensure the transparency in infrastructure development, and it is directly to counter the Belt and Road Initiative of China, right? So the major flaw here is that it is not going to provide the public funds like the BRI does. So now we know that India has been refusing to join the Chinese BRI, right? There have been efforts to get India to join the BDN, that is Blue Dot Network, by the US. So this is going to be the important talk when the Donald Trump is going to visit India, right? Given the India's increasing prominence and stakes in the Indo-Pacific region, India can also play an important role in the Blue Dot Network. We have already talked about the Quad. It is a 4 members informal group involving Japan, Australia, India and US. So, right, these 4 countries have passed up together in order to counter the Chinese presence in the Indo-Pacific. So Blue Dot is nothing but an extension to the same, right? So these are the important talks that are going to be talked when the Donald Trump is going to come here. The next article here is talking about the UK plans to have a government-to-government framework for future defense deals with India, right? So in the last few years, India has concluded high-level defense deals through the intergovernmental route, right? So through this intergovernmental route, we have got Example being Rafale jets, S-400 air defense system, and the stealth frigates, right? So, in the phase of a lot of delays that are happening in the defense modernization, it is mostly due to the conclusion of defense deals. So India has of lot of like late kind of thing increasing interest in the intergovernmental arrangements for the defense deal, right? So despite several efforts by the defense procurement departments, right, the deals have invariably got delayed, leading to the price escalations, right? So this intergovernmental agreement between two sovereign country, although it ensures transparency and is a lighter model, it became useful to conclude pending critical deals, right? So India has used this route previously also, most notably with the Russia, with which it has a long history of intergovernmental agreements, right? So now the India is going to give this kind of intergovernmental arrangements for defense deals with the UK government, and it is working on the government to government model so as to bring about a ease in working with the defense deals in future with India, right? So unlike the earlier foreign military sales, right, route of the US government, where the government also tries to put some kind of levies or the tax, a small service charge also it will put, but the UK model does not have such type of overhead built into the contract. So the UK has made a pitch to India so as to bring about a collaboration in the areas of aircraft carrier and the development of the sixth generation fighter aircraft technologies. Now, as the Indian Navy is showing a lot of interest in the UK's progress, especially related to the integrated electric propulsion, the two countries have also exchanged subject matters experts, which will give a deepening insight into the defense technology and the development partnership between the two countries. So hope this government to government framework will bring about ease in the developments of procuring the defense technology with much ease, because this will also cost us little less money. In the process of this people taking the decision, usually we have found that the rates of particular thing that we wanted to import from these countries also gets escalations. So having decisions in a right format at the right time may even reduce our burden of bringing the defense technology into our system. So the article here is really making me also laugh that the House Center is panicking just like any other people who wants to do the end preparation, like one day batting and all that we call in our graduation. In the same way here the government is taking measures in order to increase the goods and services tax for which is due for this year, right? So because there has been lower than expected GST collections and the compensation sets collections, it has become a matter for the past few months, because we know that the budget is due for the February this month. So this GST collection is really falling behind as much as 40% during the April and November period of 2019 to 20. So the government here is showing the kind of panicking kind of thing, where it is the onus is being laid upon the GST officers, asking them to collect and to see wherever the people have tried to evaded the law and they have made the advances, right? So the GST collection has fallen short in the present budget estimate by as much as 40%. So that is why they are taking up such measures, right? So the compensation requirement has increased significantly and unlikely to be met with the compensation checks being collected, right? So here it is going to mop up the target of the GST. Here we are seeing about the GST department has been directing the field officers to go after the fraudsters and the non-filers using the data analytics of the revenue department, and it has fixed the GST target for January and February around for 1.15 lakh crore each, while the March collection alone is they have targeted to the 1.25 lakh crore, right? So the official sources have been telling about all this kind of requirements that the GST is doing. So here the official sources have stated that about 40,000 companies have been red flagged, right? Red flag for availing excess or the fraudulent type of input tax credit and the other tax related wrongful issues, like how they use the fake invoices or the inflated or the fake e-way bills through the data analysis, right? So here the GST authorities would look into the mismatch of supply and purchase invoices, mismatch in GSTR 1, 2A, 3B, and whatever they could do, they're trying to do in order to bring the taxpayers so that the government can actually meet its target, so that it will be shown in the present budget, right? So the principal chief commissioner and the chief commissioners would have to update their efforts so as to curb the tax evasion and leakages, and the revenue secretary would be closely monitoring the exercise, and for this purpose he will be holding the high level review meetings with the top officials. Why panic in the last moment, right? This all they should have done from the time they were trying to enroll this GST or during the financial year, but such type of last minute measures does not help anyone, neither the one who is preparing nor the government who is trying to bring such type of results. Instead, it should go on with the long term vision, and long term it has to evaluate a system where they can find the fraudsters, because as of today there are like 1.2 crore GST registrants across India among the 130 crore population of the country, right? With only 3 months to go before the current financial year, enforcement actions have increased and the pressure is mounted on the revenue officers in order to augment the GST collection in the remaining period of the fiscal so as to meet the revenue targets, right? So this year, remember that Department of Revenue Intelligence has got even the post commemoration from the finance minister about the work it does, right? They have also published a stamp on the Department of Revenue Intelligence for their work and all. So now it is going to be a very challenging thing on the revenue department also, so as to collect more 1.25 lakh crores within the short span of 1 or 3 months. The article here is talking a very promising thing, that the Amazon, American multinational company called as Amazon, and it has announced a plan to invest around 1 billion money into the Indian market, and it also promised that it is going to create 1 billion new jobs in India by 2025. Through the investments, it will come either directly or indirectly, and here they are going to invest in different kind of things. Example, information technology, skill development, content creation, retail, as well as logistic and manufacturing. This also includes the software development, right? So all this together is going to bring about a 7 lakh jobs in India, jobs the country has enabled in India over the last 6 years. For the last 6 years, they have brought about 7 lakhs jobs. So now they have moved forward. They are having a greatest vision, saying that they are going to help India in putting up at least 1 million more jobs by 2025. All this is because you know that already in the budget session, Amazon is going to be in the highlight, because the government is already grilling the Amazon, saying that it is using a lot of another kind of resorts in the payment kind of things, right? So this Amazon is bringing up with this thing. It's not like it will really has an intention. Only because of market it is going to bring such type of things, but only that it will escape the eyes of the Indian scrutiny, where they are blaming the Amazon of using some kind of wrong methods in order to promote their sale, right? So yet it is promising thing to see, especially because they have said that the 1 billion money is to bring about 10 million traders, and especially in the MSME across India online. They're going to bring all this MSME into the sector of enabling, so that they can enable the some around 10 billion money in a cumulative exports by 2015. Kindly follow the another playlist. In our playlist, you can find the practice cum revision questions on the today's analyzed news.